Well, hello guys, Jeff Danker.
Daniel McVeigh.
That was awkward. No. So, we are going to score deer.
Yep.
We've been scoring a few of them over the years.
We've scored a couple.
Well, today what we want to show you is how we score them out in the field. I mean, we're not using a cable. If you were doing with official Boone and Crockett, they're going to use a cable to measure everything, and then they're going to use a steel tape to
get it more exact.
Yeah, exact. But that right there, grab that, Daniel.
Yeah, ours is more just in the field, trying to get an idea.
This right here literally is $2, I believe. And if you look, it's got the 0 right here on the inches. And so basically what I want to tell you on scoring is you always score in eighths. So you never say a half. It's always going to be 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, whatever. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to score this deer. So this is a deer I shot in Ohio. And Daniel, let's just tell them everything. So some people out there may not have ever scored a deer.
That's
so
right.
basically from this tip all the way down to the center of his burr, this is your main beam, okay? So that's the main beam.
Along the outside.
Yeah.
All the way along the outside, all the way
Yeah,
up to
so
the tip.
you want to be in the middle of that beam.
Yep.
But that is your main beam. Now this right here is your eye guard, we call it, but it's actually called a G1 when you're scoring. This is a G2. Then you got G3 and G4. Now, you see he's got that, but over here, if you look, if we do the same thing, we go G1. Now don't add this extra. This is just a G1, but you see this is a split, and we're going to teach you about that. That's an extra, but still we got a G2, we got a G3, G4, but you see there's another one. That's the G5, okay? So that's what we're going to teach you in depth. Now, this buck he's a 5x6 typical with an extra, okay? So if he had another one coming off here or whatever, it would be an extra. Now, anyway, let's just dive into this now. So the other measurement.
This one is a typical.
But okay, so Daniel, we got the main beam that we're going to measure. We're going to have to measure the G1. And guys, what we want to do is we're going to measure these when we start measuring tines. And it's just like if this was to continue on a straight lines where we'll measure from. So we're going to measure G1, G2, G3, G4. Now the other thing that people forget a lot of times, and maybe when we started, the circumferences. You know, you always say, well, it's just an 8-point. You just get 3 circumferences, people would think.
Yeah, you actually get 4.
You're always going to get 4. If it's a spike.
4 each side, 4 on each side.
So this buck, we would always, down here, you take the lowest around measurements you can. And so,
yeah, halfway between this tine and that tine, and right in the middle.
Halfway again right here and halfway again. Now, if this G4 wasn't here, you would come out and you would measure halfway in and you'd get it. So let's just start this buck, and we're going to score this as a typical. So, Danny, if you want to grab that, we will start this deer. So the first thing I'm going to do, he's got left main beam. So you got to remember this right here. We're going to get this 0 down here, and it's a little harder when they're mounted here.
Yeah, because of the ears.
But we want to come in here, and we're going to come all the way down to the burr. Daniel, can you see that with this to hold that? And to, I have no idea on that, but so, all right, hang on just a little bit. Okay, so around the burr. Now see, as you see, we're right in the center of this, okay? We're right in the center of the main beam, staying all along. So we're holding it, and just keep bending right in the center. You don't want to pull it because you don't want it to stretch. And again, if you was doing it really, you would be using a cable. But he is, Daniel, it looks like, man, that's pretty close to 27, wouldn't you say, Cole?
Yep.
So 27-inch left main beam. Okay.
And so what I did here, you can print off a sheet, but it's as simple as left and right side, and we're on the main beam. So he's going to have 27 inches here. And the next one, he's going to go down through, and we're going to measure the G1 just like he's doing. And I've got them all in line. And then when we go to the right side, I'll keep them all in line as well.
All right, so guys, now what we're going to do is we're going to measure this G1. And we're going to measure it from the back here. So now what we do is if you were just drawing a line right here,
Yeah, just like if you used a straight pin or something and you went from that point to that point.
Yeah, so, all right, so like, see, that's coming across there, so that's about right. And then stay in the center of the tine. So always stay in the center. We're going to come right up through here. Daniel, what's that say?
It'd be 6 2/8.
So 2/8. 6 2/8. Now we're going to skip the extra, guys. This is an extra coming off that one, but we're going to go ahead right to the G3. And like I said, you always want to measure from the outside. Then if you want to tip him just a little bit. So again, we're getting that straight line. And this is the G2. And so that's about where that straight line is. And we're going right up the tine. Make sure it doesn't slip. And we're about 9 inches right there. So G2's 9. So Daniel's writing it down. Now again, we take the straight deal right here. We're coming right down. You know, don't go the side of the tine. Go to the center where it's hitting the main beam. Okay? Straight up that. Again. We're going to be 10 4/8, which is 10 1/2, but in this language you always say 4/8. So now this is a G4, and again, straight line here, we're putting it right there, and right up we go. So we're at 9 3/8, Daniel. And then here is a G5. You know, it ain't real long, but every inch counts. And we're going to actually see if this deer will net Boone and Crockett today. So he's going to be 2 4/8. Okay. So we got this side other than the extra. I always put the extras on at last. So now what we're going to do is the last thing on this side. We have to get the circumferences that we talked about. So we got a C1 here, which is circumference 1, circumference 2, circumference 3, and circumference 4. And again, a lot of people have said, well, he's got a 5, so you get another one. You only get 4 per side. But you always get 4 per side, no matter if it's a spike. So right here, we're going around this, and as you see, we're just wrapping it. You don't want to pull it real tight. You do not want to stretch it. And you're looking at about 4 6/8. And then, so we're going 2 right in the middle. Now, if you were officially doing it, you would probably measure from one and get right in the middle, but I'm just pretty much just really guesstimating here, and we're going to be 4 5/8. So our C3 is going to be 4 4/8. And this is his biggest measurement here, and this is a 4 7/8. So that will conclude his left main beam. So right now, what we're going to do is I'm just going to spin the buck so Daniel can help me hold it and score the other side. So we have to go main beam again. This is probably the hardest measurement, especially when you're dealing with the ear and hold that right there.
I haven't moved, so I don't.
Yeah. It's loose right here. I just can't get in there. We're just going to go with it. So basically 25 3/8. And so guys, that's the other main beam. So I already know, as we're going to be in deductions, we're going to have a pretty big deduction of this main beam is going to be longer, and we'll teach you about that here in a second. So now we're going to go to G1. So G1, same deal. And we're looking at 6 2/8, Daniel. And so G2, again, we imagine that line right there where that beam would be. We come right up it, right in the center, and we would be at 9, right in the center. Again, come up right in the middle of this thing. So this is G3, and it's going to be 10 4/8, and we have a G4. So again, draw that line right in the center. We are at 7 2/8, and so this is going to be the C1 on this side. We don't want centimeters.
Your number might get higher.
Oh, yeah, it might. So 4 2/8. And so this buck, you can, if you know anything about deer, I mean, this deer is not weak on much as a typical, other than mass. A good deer, usually you're going to be somewhere around 40 inches is a really good deer. That's 4.
He's close.
Well, it'd be
30. He'd be 36, 37.
Yeah.
He'd be.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's close. He's
Yeah.
not terrible.
4 2/8. We'll do. How many measurements you got?
You missed one.
I did, didn't I? Did I do this?
Yeah, you just missed this one.
So C2.
If you measured it, you didn't call it out.
That's 4. Yeah, he's really weak on this side. 4 1/8. Okay, so guys, we got both main beams, and we've got both, tines, and we got both circumferences. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to measure the extra. Okay, and he's just going to write extra down there. And what I'm going to do on it, I'm going to actually draw that line just like I would right here of an extra where it's coming out. So we'll do something to that nature right there, and we'll come up this little extra, and we will get, it's going to be right at 3. Okay, so that's an extra. And then now what we're going to do is we're gonna get his widest inside spread. Okay, that's how you're gonna score a deer. It's not, you have to get inside. So basically what I'm gonna do is hold this 0 here. I'm gonna eyeball that right there basically, and we're gonna come and we're gonna find the widest point we can. So right now I think we're looking at probably in the 21 is probably where we're at. So 21 inches wide, and right here Daniel has the ability now to gross this deer. So Daniel,
yep,
if you want to go ahead with that and just gross him, and with my help when you need it, just let me know. If you want me to run a calculator, I will. So I'll run your calculator on your big numbers if you want.
You can just add these up if you want. There's 20 plus 27. 20 plus 27 plus 6 plus 9 plus 10 plus 11. 83. And I'll do the right. Alright, so 27 plus 6 plus 9 plus 17 plus 16. Alright, so right there we have the left and right, correct? So I do 75 0/8 plus the width, 21, plus the extra, because that's the only one I didn't add. So that's the extra right there. This is the width, and that's the extra. This is all to get gross. That's 3 0/8 and 0/8. So it's 3/8. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Carry the 1, 15, 16, 17, 18. 182 and 3/8.
Okay, so 182 and 3/8, that's gross. Okay, so now guys, to teach you the other is, and this is the part, when to me it's called net. And if you want to use a net, really go fishing. But, you know, when I tell somebody I shot this deer, I am not going to give them my net score. I'm going to say, you know, I just shot a 182, 183, whatever he is. But to net this deer, they have to be, to make Boone and Crockett as a typical, they have to be 170. So we're fixing to find out if he's going to make it. And so basically, Danny, I want you to explain to him right now. So we'll use the buck.
Yep. So all I'm doing, and because I wrote them like we did, I kept them all in line. So basically, I just go from side to side. So on this first one, your main beams were 27, and your main beam was 25 and 3/8. Over here, you got to write the difference between the two. It's 1 and 5/8. That's the difference between the right and the left. That's how these will end up being your deductions. And as you can see, the G1, G2, and G3 were all exactly the same, which was pretty cool. There's no deductions there. Now on the G4, it was 2 inches and 2 1/8 inch difference. And then we had the extra, which I just kept in the middle here because we only had one extra. You know, I could have started a whole different column. So I'll add that over there. And same way with the mass measurements. When I come over here, there's only there's 4/8 there. There's 5/8. You just got to get the difference between the two and carry it over. So that'll be your difference line. So let's see, 6, 10, 17, 21, 27. So it'd be 3 8s. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
He's gonna be right at it.
So the difference right there is his gross.
Yeah. So he's gonna net Boone
minus 11 inches and 3/8. That was the difference, and he's literally 171 and 0/8.
So he is a net Boone, and that is after 30 days. I mean, I know they scored this deer at I think a 188 and something the day we shot him. I definitely think they scored him a bump high, but I had him about 185 is what I had him at, because I roughed him after that, and he probably was at that time. And you know, now we're netting him we're grossing him at, you know, right at 182.
And you know, and this tape's not exact. These are just our numbers to have an idea of what a deer is.
But that is how you score a deer. Now, if you had, you know, the one thing we need to tell them is if we have this deer, let's just use this deer, and we were going to do him as a non-typical, because let's just say he had a point sticking out here, and say he had 2 big drop tines. Let's just say he had an 8-inch drop tine and an 8-inch drop tine, and we're going to do non-typical. How you would score this deer, guys, and listen carefully, is you would score him just like he did, but don't do anything with this extra. So score him just like he did, you know, how we did, and then we netted him, okay? But we wouldn't do anything with this extra, okay? We would net him, and we would subtract everything off his typical score, and then we would add back, what was that, Daniel, that length?
That 3 inches.
All right, so basically a 3-inch extra, and he had 2 8-inch drops, so that would be 8 and 8 would be 16 plus 3, 19. Add it on to your net. So if he did net 170, you would add that on, and he would be 180
as a non-typical. As a net non-typical. Because there's no side-to-side difference in non-typical points.
No, not in the extras. There is a you still net him as a typical, but then you add everything back. Okay. So anyway, we hope that's clear as mud. But that is how you score a deer. And again, we're not sponsored by this. And by the way, this is my daughter Jaylee's why it's pink, but it scores. This is what we use in the field. This is exactly how we do it. We want to know.
And I mean, it's always close for us within a couple inches.
Right.
I mean, you know, a couple inches one way or another is not really that big a difference. You know.
I mean, it's a 180-inch deer, and that's what I had. I mean, I literally, when I sat down in this chair, I had in my mind this deer's going to gross 184. That's what I had in my mind. And that, to me, is why we score these deer, because we know on the hoof we can get real close. So, anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, you're within an inch and a half
of
the exact score. I mean, you can't go any wrong one way or another.
Yeah, and I mean, if anything, like I said, on this deer right here, if he had that same side right there, he would probably be in the high 80s. And then the other thing is if he just had a little
He lost 5 inches from the difference between this time and not having the 11th.
Well, and just like I said, if you go to, this is kind of cool because you go to his deal down here is what, 75 and then 83. So there's literally, 8 inches difference. So I mean, if we could add that 8 inches, I mean, again, he would be close to 190 if he had that side.
Yeah, the old mass on the one side, he'd lose almost 2 inches of mass on one side.
But anyway, thanks guys for watching on YouTube. As always, subscribe. I don't know, I always do this. I don't know if they put it down there or not, but it's somewhere around here.
It's somewhere on the bottom of the screen.
Hit like, and man, we are right in the middle of filming food plots, getting ready for production. And anyway, thanks for watching. Until then, we'll see you next time.